Cybernetics is a transdisciplinary approach for exploring regulatory systems, the structures, constraints, and possibilities. In the 21st century, the term is often used in a rather loose way to imply control of any system using technology. Cybernetics is relevant to the study of systems, such as mechanical, physical, biological, cognitive, and social systems. Cybernetics is applicable when a system being analyzed incorporates a closed signaling loop, that is, where action by the system generates some change in its environment and that change is reflected in that system in some manner that triggers a system change. Originally referred to as a circular causal relationship, system dynamics, a related field, originated with applications of electrical engineering control theory to other kinds of simulation models by Jay Forrester at MIT in the 1950s. Concepts studied by cyberneticists include, but are not limited to, learning, cognition, adaptation, social control, emergence, communication, efficiency, efficacy, and connectivity. These concepts are studied by other subjects such as engineering and biology, but in cybernetics these are abstracted from the context of the individual organism or device. Norbert Wiener defined cybernetics in 1948 as the scientific study of control and communication in the animal and the machine. The word cybernetics comes from Greek kappa epsilon beta epsilon rho nu eta tau iota kappa eta, meaning governance, i.e. all that are pertinent to kappa epsilon beta epsilon rho nu alpha omega, the latter meaning to steer, navigate or govern. Hence kappa epsilon beta epsilon rho nu eta sigma iota sigma, meaning government, is the government, while kappa epsilon beta epsilon rho nu eta tau eta sigma is the governor, the captain. Contemporary cybernetics began as an interdisciplinary study connecting the fields of control systems, electrical network theory, mechanical engineering, logic modeling, evolutionary biology, neuroscience, anthropology, and psychology in the 1940s, often attributed to the Macy conferences. During the second half of the 20th century, cybernetics evolved in ways that distinguish first-order cybernetics from second-order cybernetics. More recently there is talk about a third-order cybernetics. Fields of study which have been influenced by cybernetics include game theory, systems theory, perceptual control theory, sociology, psychology, philosophy, architecture, and organizational theory. Definitions. Cybernetics has been defined in a variety of ways by a variety of people, from a variety of disciplines. The Larry Richards Reader includes a listing by Stuart Umpleby of notable definitions. Science concerned with the study of systems of any nature which are capable of receiving, storing and processing information so as to use it for control. A. N. Kolmogorov. The Art of Securing Efficient Operation. Louis Scofignal. The Art of Steersmanship, deals with all forms of behavior insofar as they are regular, or determinate, or reproducible. Stands to the real machine, electronic, mechanical, neural, or economic, much as geometry stands to real object in our terrestrial space. Offers a method for the scientific treatment of the system in which complexity is outstanding and too important to be ignored. W. Ross Ashby. A branch of mathematics dealing with problems of control, recursiveness, and information, focuses on forms and the patterns that connect. Gregory Bateson. The Art of Effective Organization. Stafford Beer. The Art and Science of Manipulating Defensible Metaphors. Gordon Pask. The Art of Creating Equilibrium in a World of Constraints and Possibilities. Ernst von Glazes-Feld. The Science and Art of Understanding. Humberto Maturana. The Ability to Cure All Temporary Truth of Eternal Triteness. Herbert Brunn. Other notable definitions include the science and art of the understanding of understanding, Rodney E. Donaldson, the first president of the American Society for Cybernetics. The control of an automaton's feedback loop. Link Starber, a way of thinking about ways of thinking of which it is one. Larry Richards, The Art of Interaction in Dynamic Networks. Roy Ascott, Etymology. The term cybernetics stems from kappa epsilon beta epsilon rho nu eta tau eta sigma steers min, governor, pilot, or rudder. As with the ancient Greek pilot, independence of thought is important in cybernetics. Cybernetics is a broad field of study, but the essential goal of cybernetics is to understand and define the functions and processes of systems that have goals and that participate in circular, causal chains that move from action to sensing to comparison with desired goal, and again to action. Studies in cybernetics provide a means for examining the design and function of any system, including social systems such as business management and organizational learning, including for the purpose of making them more efficient and effective. French physicist and mathematician André-Marie Ampère first coined the word cybernétique in his 1834 essay sur la philosophie des sciences, to describe the science of civil government. Cybernetics was borrowed by Norbert Wiener in his book Cybernetics, to define the study of control and communication in the animal and the machine. Stafford Beer called it the science of effective organization, and Gordon Pask called it the art of defensible metaphors, though he later extended it to include information flows in all media, from stars to brains. It includes the study of feedback, black boxes, and derived concepts such as communication and control in living organisms, machines, and organizations, including self-organization. Its focus is how anything processes information, reacts to information, and changes it can be changed to better accomplish the first two tasks. A more philosophical definition, suggested in 1956 by Louis Q. Fignell, one of the pioneers of cybernetics, characterizes cybernetics as the art of ensuring the efficacy of action. The most recent definition has been proposed by Louis Kaufman, president of the American Society for Cybernetics. Cybernetics is the study of systems and processes that interact with themselves and produce themselves from themselves. History. Roots of cybernetic theory. The word cybernetics was first used in the context of the study of self-governance by Plato in the Alcibiades to signify the governance of people. The word cybernetic was also used in 1834 by the physicist André-Marie Ampère to denote the sciences of government in his classification system of human knowledge. The first artificial automatic regulatory system, a water clock, was invented by the mechanician Jay. In his water clocks, water flowed from a source such as a holding tank into a reservoir, then from the reservoir to the mechanisms of the clock. Jay's device used a cone-shaped float to monitor the level of the water in its reservoir and adjust the rate of flow of the water accordingly, to maintain a constant level of water in the reservoir, so that it neither overflowed nor was allowed to run dry. This was the first artificial, truly automatic self-regulatory device that required no outside intervention between the feedback and the controls of the mechanism. Although they did not refer to this concept by the name of cybernetics, KTESIBOs and others such as Heron and Susong are considered to be some of the first to study cybernetic principles. The study of teleological mechanisms in machines with corrective feedback dates from as far back as the late 18th century, when James Watt's steam engine was equipped with a governor, a centrifugal feedback valve for controlling the speed of the engine. Alfred Russel Wallace identified this as the principle of evolution in his famous 1858 paper. In 1868, James Clerk Maxwell published a theory theoretical article on governors, one of the first to discuss and refine the principles of self-regulating devices. Jacob von Wexkull applied the feedback mechanism via his model of functional cycle in order to explain animal behavior and the origins of meaning. In general, early 20th century, contemporary cybernetics began as an interdisciplinary study connecting the fields of control systems, electrical network theory, mechanical engineering, logic modeling, evolutionary biology and neuroscience. In the 1940s, electronic control systems originated with the 1927 work of Bell Telephone Laboratories engineer Harold S. Black on using negative feedback to control amplifiers. The ideas are also related to the biological work of Ludwig von Bertalanffy in general systems theory. Early applications of negative feedback in electronic circuits included the control of gun mounts and radar antenna during World War II. Jay Forrester, a graduate student at the Servo Mechanisms Laboratory at MIT during World War II, working with Gordon S. Brown to develop electronic control systems for the U.S. Navy, later applied these ideas to social organizations such as corporations and cities as an original organizer of the MIT School of Industrial Management at the MIT Sloan School of Management. Forrester is known as the founder of system dynamics. W. Edwards Deming, the total quality management guru for whom Japan named its top post-World War II industrial prize, was an intern at Bell Telephone Labs in 1927 and may have been influenced by network theory. Deming made understanding systems one of the four pillars of what he described as profound knowledge in his book, The New Economics. Numerous papers spearheaded the coalescing of the field. In 1935, Russian physiologist P.K. Anukin published a book in which the concept of feedback was studied. The study and mathematical modeling of regulatory processes became a continuing research effort, and two key articles were published in 1943. These papers were Behavior, Purpose and Teleology by Arturo Rosenbluth, Norbert Wiener, and Julian Bigelow, and the paper A Logical Calculus of the Ideas Immanent in Nervous Activity by Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts. In 1936, Odoblev publishes Phonoscopy and the Clinical Semiotics. In 1937, he participates in the 9th International Congress of Military Medicine with a paper entitled Demonstration de Phonoscopy, where he disseminates a prospectus in French, announcing the appearance of his future work, The Consonant as Psychology. The most important of his writings is Psychologie Consonantiste, in which Odoblev lays the theoretical foundations of the generalized cybernetics. The book, published in Paris by Librairie Malouin, contains almost 900 pages and includes 300 figures in the text. The author wrote at the time that this book is a table of contents, an index or dictionary of psychology, a great treatise of psychology that should contain 20 to 30 volumes. Due to the beginning of World War II, the publication went unnoticed. The first Romanian edition of this work did not appear until 1982. Cybernetics as a discipline was firmly established by Norbert Wiener, McCulloch and others, such as W. Ross Ashby, mathematician Alan Turing, and W. Gray Walter. Walter was one of the first to build autonomous robots as an aid to the study of animal behavior. Together with the US and UK, an important geographical locus of early cybernetics was France. In the spring of 1947, Wiener was invited to a Congress on Harmonic Analysis, held in Nancy, France. The event was organized by the Bourbaki, a French scientific society, and mathematician Zola Mandelbrot, uncle of the world-famous mathematician Benoit Mandelbrot. During this stay in France, Wiener received the offer to write a manuscript on the unifying character of this part of applied mathematics, which is found in the study of Brownian motion and in telecommunication engineering. The following summer, back in the United States, Wiener decided to introduce the neologism cybernetics into his scientific theory. The name cybernetics was coined to denote the study of teleological mechanisms, and was popularized through his book Cybernetics, or Control and Communication in the Animal and the Machine. In the UK, this became the focus for the Ratio Club. In the early 1940s, John von Neumann, although better known for his work in mathematics and computer science, did contribute a unique and unusual addition to the world of cybernetics: von Neumann's cellular automata, and the logical follow-up, the von Neumann universal constructor. The result of these deceptively simple thought experiments was the concept of self-replication, which cybernetics adopted as a core concept. The concept that the same properties of genetic reproduction applied to social memes, living cells, and even computer viruses is further proof of the somewhat surprising universality of cybernetics study. Wiener popularized the social implications of cybernetics, drawing analogies between automatic systems and human institutions in his best-selling The Human Use of Human Beings, Cybernetics and Society. While not the only instance of a research organization focused on cybernetics, the Biological Computer Lab at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, under the direction of Heinz von Förster, was a major center of cybernetic research for almost 20 years, beginning in 1958. Split from artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence was founded as a distinct discipline at the Dartmouth conferences. After some uneasy coexistence, AI gained funding and prominence. Consequently, cybernetic sciences such as the study of artificial neural networks were downplayed. The discipline shifted into the world of social sciences and therapy. Prominent cyberneticians during this period include Gregory Bateson, Axel Berg. New cybernetics. In the 1970s, new cyberneticians emerged in multiple fields, but especially in biology. The ideas of Maturana, Varela and Atlan, according to Jean-Pierre Dupuy, realized that the cybernetic metaphors of the program upon which molecular biology had been based rendered a conception of the autonomy of the living being impossible. Consequently, these thinkers were led to invent a new cybernetics, one more suited to the organizations which mankind discovers in nature, organizations he has not himself invented. However, during the 1980s, the question of whether the features of this new cybernetics could be applied to social forms of organization remained open to debate. In political science, Project Cybersyn attempted to introduce a cybernetically controlled economy during the early 1970s. In the 1980s, according to Harris Jones, unlike its predecessor, the new cybernetics concerns itself with the interaction of autonomous political actors and subgroups, and the practical and reflexive consciousness of the subjects who produce and reproduce the structure of a political community. A dominant consideration is that of recursiveness, or self-reference of political action, both with regards to the expression of political consciousness and with the ways in which systems build upon themselves. One characteristic of the emerging new cybernetics considered in that time by Felix Gahr and Hans van der Zoowen, according to Bailey, was that it views information as constructed and reconstructed by an individual interacting with the environment. This provides an epistemological foundation of science, by viewing it as observer-dependent. Another characteristic of the new cybernetics is its contribution towards bridging the micro-macro gap. That is, it links the individual with the society. Another characteristic noted was the transition from classical cybernetics to the new cybernetics involves a transition from classical problems to new problems. These shifts in thinking involve, among others, a change from emphasis on the system being steered to the system doing the steering, and the factor which guides the steering decisions. A new emphasis on communication between several systems which are trying to steer each other. Recent endeavors into the true focus of cybernetics, systems of control and emergent behavior, by such related fields as game theory, systems of feedback in evolution, and metamaterials, have led to a revived interest in this increasingly relevant field. Cybernetics and economic systems. The design of self-regulating control systems for a real-time planned economy was explored by Viktor Glushkov in the former Soviet Union during the 1960s. By the time information technology was developed enough to enable feasible economic planning based on computers, the Soviet Union and Eastern Bloc countries began moving away from planning and eventually collapsed. More recent proposals for socialism involve New Socialism, outlined by the computer scientists Paul Cockshott and Alan Cottrell, where computers determine and manage the flows and allocation of resources among socially owned enterprises. Subdivisions of the field. Cybernetics is sometimes used as a generic term, which serves as an umbrella for many systems-related scientific fields. Basic cybernetics. Cybernetics studies systems of control as a concept, attempting to discover the basic principles underlying such things as artificial intelligence, computer vision, control systems, conversation theory, emergence, interactions of actors theory, learning organization, robotics, second-order cybernetics, self-organization in cybernetics. In biology. Cybernetics in biology is the study of cybernetic systems present in biological organisms, primarily focusing on how animals adapt to their environment, and how information in the form of genes is passed from generation to generation. There is also a secondary focus on combining artificial systems with biological systems. A notable application to the biology world would be that, in 1955, the physicist George Gamow published a prescient article in Scientific American called "Information Transfer in the Living Cell," and cybernetics gave biologists Jacques Monod and François Jacob a language for formulating their early theory of gene regulatory networks in the 1960s. Autopoiesis, biocybernetics, bioengineering, bionics, heterostasis, homeostasis, medical cybernetics, neuroscience, practopoiesis, synthetic biology, systems biology. In computer science directly applies the concepts of cybernetics to the control of devices and the analysis of information. Cellular automaton, decision support system, design patterns, robotics, simulation. In engineering, cybernetics in engineering is used to analyze cascading failures and system accidents, in which the small errors and imperfections in a system can generate disasters. Other topics studied include adaptive systems, biomedical engineering, engineering cybernetics, ergonomics, systems engineering, in management entrepreneurial cybernetics, management cybernetics, operations research, organizational cybernetics, systems engineering. In mathematics, mathematical cybernetics focuses on the factors of information, interaction of parts in systems, and the structure of systems. Control theory, dynamical system, information theory, systems theory. In psychology, attachment theory, behavioral cybernetics, cognitive psychology, consciousness, embodied cognition, homunculus, human-robot interaction, mind-body problem, perceptual control theory, psycho-cybernetics, psycho-vector analysis, systems psychology. In sociology, by examining group behavior through the lens of cybernetics, sociologists can seek the reasons for such spontaneous events as smart mobs and riots, as well as how communities develop rules such as etiquette by consensus without formal discussion. Affect control theory explains role behavior, emotions, and labeling theory in terms of homeostatic maintenance of sentiments associated with cultural categories. The most comprehensive attempt ever made in the social sciences to increase cybernetics in a generalized theory of society was made by Talcott Parsons. In this way, cybernetics establishes the basic hierarchy in Parsons' AGIL paradigm, which is the ordering system dimension of his action theory. These and other cybernetic models in sociology are reviewed in a book edited by McClelland and Ferraro. Affect control theory, memetics, socio-cybernetics. In education, a model of cybernetics in education was introduced by Githan Sami Solomon, an educational consultant, as a project idea to be implemented with the help of 2 team members in Sinai. The Sinai Sustainability Cybernetics Center announced as a semi-finalist project by Mid-Annual Competition 2013. The project idea proposed relating education to sustainable development through an IMS project that applies a multiple educational program related to the original natural self-healing system of life on Earth. Education, sustainable development, social justice disciplines interact in a causal circular relationship that education would contribute to the development of the local community in Sinai Village, on both sustainability and social responsibility levels, while the community itself provides a unique learning environment that will contribute to the development of the educational program in a closed signaling loop. In art, Nicholas Schaffer's CYSPI was perhaps the first artwork to explicitly employ cybernetic principles. The artist Roy Ascott elaborated an extensive theory of cybernetic art in Behaviorist Art and the Cybernetic Vision, Volume 9, No. 4, 1966, Volume 10, Number 1, 1967, and in The Cybernetic Stance, My Process and Purpose. Art historian Edward A. Shanken has written about the history of art and cybernetics in essays including Cybernetics and Art, Cultural Convergence in the 1960s, and From Cybernetics to Telematics, The Art, Pedagogy, and Theory of Roy Ascott, which traces the trajectory of Ascott's work from cybernetic art to telematic art, interactive art, systems art. In Earth system science, geocybernetics aims to study and control the complex co-evolution of ecosphere and anthroposphere, for example, for dealing with planetary problems such as anthropogenic global warming. Geocybernetics applies a dynamical systems perspective to Earth system analysis. It provides a theoretical framework for studying the implications of following different sustainability paradigms on co-evolutionary trajectories of the planetary socio-ecological system to reveal attractors in this system, the stability, resilience and reachability. Concepts such as tipping points in the climate system, planetary boundaries, the safe operating space for humanity, and proposals for manipulating Earth system dynamics on a global scale such as geoengineering have been framed in the language of geocybernetic Earth system analysis. Related fields. Complexity science. Complexity science attempts to understand the nature of complex systems. Complex adaptive system. Complex systems. Complexity theory. Biomechatronics. Biomechatronics relates to linking mechatronics to biological organisms, leading to systems that conform to A. N. Kolmogorov's definition of cybernetics, i.e., science concerned with the study of systems of any nature which are capable of receiving, storing and processing information so as to use it for control. For this perspective, mechatronics are considered technical cybernetics or engineering cybernetics.